What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Leveled Up Life podcast. It's Branamier, Courtney, as always, here with Paul McClain in the house. Good to be with you, bro. Again, helping people level up in all the areas that matter most: faith, family, fitness, finance, and franchise. We are coming off the heels of our very first Leadership Roundtable event. And, dude, I'm just still reflecting on that day, all the value that was given, all the people that we met, all the just different walks of life that came in there. And I don't know about you, but I've been getting, testimonies all week, text messages, DMs about just how an amazing of an event it was. Just the takeaways from the event. Like, dude, people that I've never met that showed up to the event were DMing me like, dude, I got notes and notes from what you talked about. And I just love it because it was so diverse. Like, we didn't talk about the same thing. Like, Mariah was up there talking about faith. I talked about just like lessons I've learned. You went on the dude, you broke your whole day down, made everyone feel bad. Like 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. Or what was it, 4 a.m. to
I felt bad after
11 p.m.
Like, man, I got a lot of adjustments to get back.
Dude, you had people posting all week about waking up at 4:15. Here we go. And then Jeff Osborne just talking about identity. And, dude, it was just unbelievable. And, bro, I'm just super thankful that we get to do stuff like that. And I'm grateful to do it with you, bro.
Absolutely, bro. I can't say more than what you just said was exactly how I feel, bro. So, like, it was one of those things where, I think nowadays a lot of people, they'll watch a podcast, they'll listen to something, they'll read a book, and all that stuff is great, right? Consumption's everything. You can start shifting your mindset. But when you're in an environment, like I know for me, dude, I left motivated, inspired, equipped, empowered.
Dude, deals are made out of that one event.
Bro.
For us.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's everybody, right? And I remember a long time ago, somebody said, man, how many events have you gone to? And I was like, dude, I don't know. A lot. And you still come to them? Do you still get anything new? It's like, bro, I get something new every time. And the reality is if you're going out there and applying things that you learned from the event, the next time you go to the event, you're going to hear certain things differently because now you are different. You're at a different space, a different level. And so, I mean, it was powerful, bro. And anytime we get the ability to really kind of use a gift that I believe is ordained and given by God to be able to speak life into people and kind of, help them out from different lessons, learn all that kind of stuff, and they could leave empowered, equipped, and then actually take the action. It's a powerful thing, man. So
100%. I know we're going to definitely get one on the calendar soon. We got to meet about that. Our heart is to do them at least twice a year. Yeah. Right? Together big, together large. Just, it's almost like that. There's certain triggers throughout the year that give you motivation. You got New Year's Eve. It's like everyone's motivated. Different things. Maybe it's a birthday or whatever it is. But for me, it's like these events gives you that extra push to make it to the next step. And so we're going to try our best to do them at least twice a year. That was the worst one we're ever going to do. Right.
Yeah, which is it's just kind of scary. Which is have to level up from that.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, but they're only going to get better and probably bigger. And so I would just encourage you, if you missed the last one, you had FOMO, because I know a ton of people were writing me like, is it going to be online? Are you going to post it? Probably not. So you just got to get in the room on the next one. And so just keep a lookout for that. But today we're going to talk about how to be coachable, what that looks like. And the truth is, like, every great leader needs leadership. Yeah. Every great player needs a coach. And so you can look at, the greatest athletes of all time, right? Michael Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Serena Williams, whoever you think is great, they all got coaches. No one's out there just doing it on their own. And it's for a reason. And I just think that in every area of life, especially all the ones that we talk about, like, you got to have people that can speak into your life. You got to have people who have been there, seen some things, have some wisdom to speak into your life. And I think the number one, like, we got some notes here, but the number one thing is, like, a coach will help you break the should I do it mentality. Yeah. Right. Like, should I go to the event? It's like, if you got some wisdom speaking into your life, they're like, absolutely, you need to go. Should I start eating clean? Well, yeah. And a lot of the times the truth is we know the right things to do, but it's the coach that keeps you accountable to doing the right things. Mm-hmm. Right. It's like, you should be working out, but if you got a coach to hold you accountable, he's just going to make it that much, he's going to actually make you do it. And so talk about that for a minute, just the should I mentality. Should I start the business? Should I, go into that venture? Should I go to the event? Kind of talk about how a coach helps unpack that and kind of break that mindset.
Well, dude, I mean, for one, I'm grateful that you're a coach for me. A lot of my faith, if I got questions and I'm navigating stuff, I know I could reach out to you and say, hey, give me some feedback here. And I think that it's good to have coaches in different areas, right? Like, Coach Cal is a coach for me when it comes to fitness and health. If I got a question or I'm wondering, should I do this? I go to him and his answer gives me freedom.
100%.
So now I don't have to sit there and kind of like go back and forth with like, should I do this? Should I do that? I just know like he's got the answer. So then I could just execute. Same thing when I talk to you and you could say, hey, maybe think about it like this, or you're good, man. This is how God will see it. Okay, got it, right? And then I'm more equipped and empowered just to go take the action. And I think it's the same thing with really every area of your life is finding a good coach, a business coach, right? If you could say, I don't know if I feel like I'm ready to buy my first batch of leads. Maybe I should, kind of know more about the phone script and I should know more about the products. It's like, no, dude, like a good coach can say, listen, I know why you feel that way.
Yeah.
I felt that way too because I was you before. What I found is the best way to get closer to the goal you've got is taking action, reflect on the action, and then move forward from there. But you waiting to know more, you're never going to do more, and you're going to be stuck in this analysis by paralysis, and that keeps you frozen from reaching your next level. And so I always just tell people like, dude, don't like shit all over yourself. Right? It doesn't look good, doesn't feel good, it's terrible, right? And that's the reality. When you're living in a life where it's like, should I do this, dude? It's a life where you just kind of like you're stuck, you're frozen, you're missing out on the next best thing. The goal, like you've said multiple times, Brad, is just like take the next best move. But you want to have the courage to do it. Well, find somebody that you respect and that they've got the credibility, that they've already gone there, they've experienced it, they've got the wisdom, like you said. And I always say coachability is freedom because now I don't have to deliberate on what I should do. I just have to now think about taking the action.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
Because I think most people that are stuck right now, you're probably stuck because you're indifferent, you're uncertain, and you're in the state of indecision because you don't feel confident enough to take that next step. But if you can get somebody around you that can say, I know how you feel, I've been there before, but this is why you should take the next step, and this is how it's going to make a difference. Well, now you can say, all right, that makes sense. The last thing I'll say to this, bro, is like, I think a lot of times when we hear something and it's not from a coach that we're having a conversation with, we hear it like maybe on a podcast or something like that. And this is why I think one-on-one conversations are crucial to get into rooms, to find environments where you can find a person that can coach you in these different areas, is the fact that the thought process shouldn't make sense.
Right.
Because if it did,
you'd already be doing it.
You'd already be doing it. It'd already be your thought. And in order to go to another level, you got to have a different level of thought process. Mm-hmm. And so that's where the coach can say, I know it doesn't make sense, but let me tell you why this is the way you should do it. You should invest in leads. You should make the first phone call. And then once you do that, we could reflect upon and move forward. Yeah. So I think that's a big deal, man.
No, I think it's good. I'm just thinking about in my life and the different hats that I wear, like where are the areas that I need coaching? Because I think a lot of times you can get to a certain level of success. Maybe it's in a past business or in just a different area, and you could have a certain level, and you could think, well, I got it. I don't need a coach, or I don't need, bro, just like give me what I need, let me go, kind of thing. But the truth is, like, we all need coaches in every different area of life. I was thinking just in the ministry, I hired a coach to train up our creative team because I'm not the most creative. Like I got a certain level of creativity, and so does our team. But we hired a consultant essentially that has a bigger creative team than us to pour into our creative team, right? Just because like we know what we're capable of. But if you don't have someone that's been there before you, the truth is like you might get there one day, but it's going to take a lot longer to get there. And so I think number one, coachability starts with humility, right? You got to be like, I need a coach in this area. Like I need a coach in my finances. Like maybe I crush it in faith and I know scripture and I can point you to the word, but maybe I don't know how to balance a checkbook that good. And you need a coach in that area. And I think the truth is we all need coaches in different areas. Proverbs 12:1 says it this way: whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but whoever hates correction is stupid. And so I just think, scriptures like that, just sometimes people are like, the Bible's confusing. Like that one's pretty clear. Whoever hates correction is stupid. Yeah. Like sometimes you just need to be corrected in your thinking, right? And you don't even know you're thinking wrong until you get around other high level leaders that can say, "Bro, what are you doing? Why are you doing it that way? You should be doing this way, and here's why. Here's like what you said. Here's what I've seen. Here's what I did, and here's the results I have now." And so I just think in your space, you got to have a heart that says, if you want to get better, I got to lift up my hand. Like just before this podcast, someone called you, and what they were doing is they were looking out, like they were seeing you as a coach. Like, hey, what book should I read? What podcast should I read? And it was just a 2-second phone call. but I think like that's the right heart.
Yeah.
Like he calls it, hey, he didn't say I'm trying to get better. He said, hey, real quick, you got any book recommendations? But he was saying I want to be coached in personal growth, right?
It's good, dude.
And so I just think that's the right heart all of us have to have. Like the truth is none of us have arrived anywhere. Like there's always a different level, like you talked about. Life is not a finite game. It's infinite. We're always growing. We're always learning. And so identify some areas in your life that you need coaching. Because the truth is we all do.
Well, dude, how does so I think the big roadblock, so like 0.5, which is now our 0.2.
Oh, I didn't even. My bad.
No. I think that you absolutely nailed it. I think it's the right place for it. Is
I wasn't
like,
looking.
Well, it just tells you like, dude, we got it dialed in. You got it dialed in. So the pride is typically the thing that roadblocks somebody from having that ability to say, hey, I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
Give me some feedback. I'm not arrived, kind of thing. Like, how do you see? Like, how does pride grow? And then, how does somebody intentionally like be aware that they've got pride? Because sometimes it hides, and
I
realize
think,
it.
For sure. I think if you can take an audit of your life and say, man, I got no one that's speaking into me, I think that's kind of a red flag, right? You haven't opened up your life to accountability yet. And you haven't allowed someone who's further ahead of you to speak into your life. So if you got no one in any area, it's probably a red flag, right?
It hurt right there.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I think for me, like when we were starting the church, I didn't have a church planting coach, right? But I was hungry for the information. So I was out seeking wisdom and going to conferences and going to meetups and doing all this stuff to try to seek out the right information, or if not the right information, the right people that can give me the right information, right? And so what I'd say, like, do I have a church planting coach? No, not necessarily, but I've been seeking wisdom and seeking coaches and seeking counsel, that now I have a group of people that I can call that are ahead and say, hey, what do you think about, this ministry or starting that thing, right? So it's not necessarily like you got to have one person, but I just think it's a heart posture. Like you got to
do it. Well, I think for one, like, what you're saying is like a lot of people, you don't have to like call somebody and say, coach me.
Right.
Like that kind of organically happened. Like even when you were talking about Jeff and how that all came about, because you made a decision to go to that pastor's gathering, and then that connection took place.
Right.
And I know you've probably ran all kinds of things by him because he's been in that circle for so long. He's been a pastor and all that. And even when we went down to Inside Elevation, like pursuing the people there, in that moment you're getting coached when you're like, hey, well, what about this? Or how do you see this? Or why do you see it that way?
Right.
Because a lot of times it's not just getting the instructions. It's a good coachable person is wanting to know, well, why do you say it that way? Or why did you handle it that way? Because my goal is I want to understand the thought process, not just the behavior.
Right.
Because if I can understand the thought process, man, then I can level up. And dude, it's funny because I remember dealing with a couple different people. Like one person that was super coachable. I think like Bassam and some of these guys, they're super coachable.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I love working with them. Like when I get around them, like they don't realize, but it's fuel for me because I just know like, dude, they're hungry for it, right? And I think like when you got this level of humility, then mentors are looking to give it. Like, dude, like I want to give what I've got because somebody gave to me what they had, and I want to return it. I know I want to be a blessing to others, and so
that's good.
The coachability puts you in a blessable state, right? And but I remember talking to some agents, and they'd be like, "Oh, dude, I'd go through their week. They didn't hit their goal. Why didn't they hit their goal? We started unpacking stuff, but okay, well, it looks like your phone script's not effective because you got a lot of people on the phone, but you didn't book any appointments." And I'd be like, let's go through your script. And I'd say, well, say it this way. And they'd be like, oh, that's how I said it. I was like, oh, you did? That's how you said it, huh?
Yeah, how's that working out?
Well, let's go back again. You say it now. And they'd start saying it. I'm like, bro, I didn't say not one of those words. You just said 47 words. I didn't say one of those words. And what I was trying to teach him was like, dude, don't even call me. Like you're calling me just to check the box, but you're not hearing me because you think you already did it right. You just want validation for the fact that I did what I could have done. This just doesn't work. And if it's something outside of you, I can't help that. I can help you.
Yeah.
I can't help stuff outside of you. You're trying to make it about other things because you did it just like that. And I think to me, that was always a red flag to say like, well, this person's got to work on their humility and their coachability, because the one thing I knew that was very difficult to do was to help someone that doesn't want to be helped. Yeah. And that's an uncoachable person, right?
That's good. No, I think even when I just like train the boys out in the backyard, like I'm starting to work with Brave now a little bit back there, and he's like, Dad, I did it that way, like same exact thing. But he's 6, right? So it's like, dude, you didn't do it that way. Like, hey, right foot only. And then he'll use half left and right. I'm like, dude, right foot only. I did, Dad. And it's just like a maturity thing, right? He's just a kid. He's just figuring it out. And so that's acceptable then. But the truth is a lot of adults act the exact same way. Dude. It's like, well, it might be a maturity thing. It might be a pride thing. It might be an ego thing that you got someone. And maybe like, especially like in insurance, when you're coaching people that are a little bit older or real estate who've been in the industry, and they're like, who's this 37-year-old young buck? Dude, I've been selling houses longer than you've been alive, sort of thing. Well, it's like, yeah, that might be true, but, this is what I found to be effective. And so I think a lot of it just has to be dropping our pride, dropping our ego and say, I need help. I'm trying to get to the next place, whatever that looks like. And then I
don't know about the 37-year-old like young thing anymore, but dude, when I was 19,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I remember being 19 and calling people like giving them coaching. I was like 20, right? And I had credibility because I was top.
Well, maybe even in the church, right? Like 36, 37. That's young for a senior pastor.
100%. But I'd have guys that were like, dude, I got underwear older than you. It's like, bro, get some new underwear. That's freaking nasty, dude.
Father's Day's coming right up.
Yeah. First of all, like you've been making the same amount, doing the same thing over and over again. And so same thing, pride. It's like don't discount somebody's age. If they're 80 or they're 8, like there's something we can learn from everybody. Like sometimes my kids teach me stuff of blind spots and things that I'm dealing with, Hey,
talk about coachability accelerates confidence through like a borrowed belief. I know you talk about that a lot. It's like you tell the story like if you're in a back alley, if you got to fight someone, like if you're by yourself, like, dude, your confidence not that high. But if you got a bunch of Navy SEALs with you, it's like, dude, I'm talking mess now because of who I'm with. And so I think that's big, especially especially in business, right? If you have like, dude, if I'm on your team and we're starting a business, bro, let's roll, baby. I got McClain with me. But if it's just me, like I still got a certain amount of confidence, but like it's not as high as if I had a partner with me. So talk about maybe borrowed belief and how someone could do that in just not maybe business, but just any area of life. What does that look like, and how do you borrow someone else's belief?
Dude, I think this is something that I'd probably give a lot of like the credit to any kind of success I've had in my life has been because of this. Like, and I continue to do it, man. Like even with like if we look at faith, like navigating a storm, like with Parker. I knew, like, I'm not confused. I've become pretty aware of who I am because I live with myself every day. And I remember when I got that news with Parker, I felt my faith being shook, dude. Like, and I felt like, man, it's hard for me to see past this storm. Like, I know I should. I know I need to. I know that my behavior should be this, but I was like, dude, it's difficult. And I had good, faithful people. Like Gina had reached out to me at that time. Hillary reached out, like, hey, do this Faith Friday. That was the following day. And I prayed, like, when you want me to do a Faith Friday, I don't feel like I've got it in you right now. Like, I feel depleted. Like, I'm weak. I don't have nothing. And I got on there and I said, hey, guys, like, listen, put your testimony down in the comments. And I knew I needed to do that because I went through and I read all those comments and I borrowed that faith.
That's good.
And then I got around you and others and I spent more time with you on the phone and with Gene on the phone, just different people that are pioneers in that, like they have this strong faith because I knew that I needed to borrow it frequently. It wasn't like, hey, I'll borrow it and I'll see you later. Yeah. And I've done the same thing in business, man. Like I've gotten around good people in any business, like even the health center. Like that ain't me. That was just God's hand and me being able to say, I can't do all this because I'm not that guy that understands the modalities and the cellular function. So I get with Coach Cal and that team. And so, I mean, I think it's just, for me, anytime I step into something, I'm always asking myself, what circle can I put around me that's got a higher level that I can borrow from in those times of need? And I think that gives you the confidence that you don't have to be the best. Just like Bassam, he's, 18, 19? 19. He's going to get, he's looking at getting his license and going into these different industries. Dude, he can have confidence more than a guy that's been in the business for 30 years if he's got the right people around him. If he's got a circle of people around him that are making 7 figures and have had massive success, he should be more confident than the person that's been doing it 20 years, has nobody around him, and he's just made 6 figures. He should be more confident because he's got the ability to borrow a higher thought process than the other guy's been living with for the last 25 years.
It's good. I love it. I think when you have a coach should instill confidence, or when you got like people around you that have the right mindset or who can see beyond the storm because they're not necessarily one-on-one with Goliath in the moment. They can see what's around the corner. Like the right coach, the right people, the right influence, the right friendships, the right culture in the company can instill the confidence in you. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be coached by someone who's like, dude, I don't know if this is going to work or not. Like, we might lose the game, boys. Like, give it your best. Like, dude, I don't necessarily want that as a pregame speech. I want the coach that's like, boys, we're about to rip their head off. Boys, we're about to build the biggest. Like, that's what I want. That's like when you get fired up. And so I think it's important to borrow other people's faith, other people's confidence. I know I've done that in many different areas. In my life, whether it's ministry or the business, or I was able to start my business because I had confidence in what I've seen my dad build. Yeah. Right. And so it's like, it wasn't like I was reinventing the wheel. I was taking a business model that I grew up in. That's good. And so, was there some fear starting the business? Was there a certain amount of risk and uncertainty? Of course. But I probably had a higher confidence than most would, because I've seen it done before. And if you've seen it done before, it could happen again. And so I just think for many people, the truth is they got to get in the right rooms. It's all the same stuff. Get around the right people, get in the right rooms, listen to the right things, borrow other people's confidence, because it would be you never know what's ahead of you. And so you might, need a Gina to walk you through a valley moment. Yeah. When your faith feels like, dude, I got nothing. But if you built the right relationships over time, when your confidence is low, someone else will be able to give you the clarity that you need to move forward. And so,
I think that's a good point, man, because it's like the blind spots, dude. Mm-hmm. For one, you don't know what you don't know, right? I remember reading this book a while back called The Third Option, and
Miles McPherson.
Yeah, and it talked a lot about just those blind spots, mm-hmm. and how a lot of times when we go through life, and what you knew wasn't, and what you thought was or wasn't was, that'd be a tough spot to know. And a lot of times we'll live that life if we don't have somebody saying, hey, man, I see this, I see that. Because it's difficult to see what you can't see. Right. That's why it's called a blind spot. You can't see it. Somebody else has got to see it. And I think when you get around good people that actually have a heart enough to tell you the truth and package it in a way where you're best empowered to receive it, man, that can be life-changing. Yeah. And I've had times where, I've had different people say dude, you're very open-minded until you're not. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Right. You're open-minded until you become closed-minded because you're convinced that you're right. And so I've learned to have conversations instead of just before I have somebody present something to me and my mind's going off dude, you're 100% wrong. Yeah. And then me trying to sell them on why they're wrong and why I'm right. And what leaves from that is them just believing more that they're right. And I remember hearing that and being like, okay, I'm gonna just. And then I asked him, I said, well, what should I do? He's like, dude, just say you want to chew on it. He said, it makes sense, man. Let me just think on it and let me get back to you. Right. And then just get off the phone and then think about it. And that way you can kind of intentionally step out of that pattern and have a better conversation. Good. And bro, that changed a lot of just different great business relationships with people that maybe they were wrong. But I was wrong if I didn't find a solution.
Yeah, if you presented it in a way that was argumentative or combative, then it doesn't help anybody. And I think a lot of people, we're so biased in the way we think, or we think
especially nowadays,
100%. We think we're right about everything, mm-hmm. right? And we have a lot of us live in, we got confirmation bias going into anything. But the truth is, man, we need some passengers in our car to tell us, hey, don't get over yet. Yeah, there's a motorcycle coming. That we didn't see, and it could avoid a major collision. And so I think that's what a good coach does is helps you navigate the storms that we may not see coming. Bro, which one? Which one do you want me to talk about, dude?
Because the reality is dude, I love what you just said about getting over. Because to not try to over dramatize it, but it's the truth. Dude, a lot of people have a blind spot right now, and you can end up in a fatal crash if somebody doesn't spot it out. And so that's why it's so important to get around good people and environments. Sometimes a good book, stuff like that can help you uncover a blind spot, right? But I think it's important also to have people you can have a conversation with and just say, hey, what's a blind spot I might be having? What's something that I'm not seeing? And being open to know you're going to get something that's going to, it's going to hurt.
We'll do therapy off camera, me and you together, figure out what our blind spots are. I'm sure I got a bunch, that's for sure. But talk about coachability is our third point. Coachability unlocks speed and simplicity. It's just, you say it a lot. That decades can turn into days if you got the right people speaking in your life, and whether that's through a podcast or just a coach. But like having the right people navigate you or give you tips or wisdom on how to navigate situations could save you so much, like lawsuits, bad relationships. Like I've kind of talked to a lot of like couples that are about to get married, do like a lot of premarital counseling. So I'll spend 8 weeks leading up to someone's wedding, and I'll just like, hey, unpack the story, the history. Like, tell me what's the best part, what's the worst part, what's the biggest fight you've had. Like, just trying to figure out who they are. And dude, I'll start to uncover all these red flags in their relationship. Yeah. And so we try to unpack these over the 8 weeks leading up to the marriage. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help them avoid some things that I can see coming that they may not see yet. But dude, I know from experience and people I've been around that, dude, it's going to be a major disaster if you guys don't figure this out right away. And so, but that's what a coach does. It allows you to move forward, not only quicker to get to a place of joy or peace or reconciliation, but also maybe in a more simpler way. Like maybe I think a lot of times we overcomplicate or we overthink a lot of stuff, but a good coach will be like, dude, stop thinking and start executing, right? So talk about maybe how a good coach helps you cut the learning curve, if you will. Yeah, I do. I think it's one of those things that I believe it's easy to undervalue it, like this whole turning decades into days. But like, what is that worth, dude? Right. Like what is that worth a decade into a day? And I think that, for me, it goes back to, I feel like generally most people, not everybody, but I think the majority of people, they think they don't understand the value of it, because if they understood the value of it, they'd pay the price. And what I mean by that is like people that, you're in a business, and if you paid for X amount to get a coach or to get a package to help elevate or see it differently, dude, that can just take 5 years and turn it into 3 weeks. And like you can say, well, that package is $5,000. Well, is it worth 3 years? Like, how much are you making a year? The opportunity cost? How much the opportunity cost? 100%. And so I just think that my suggestion, what I implore everybody to do is like really take a look at all the areas of your life and be like, what's one thing that if I could turn the decades into days, man, like that would lift the greatest weight. I mean, that could be in parenting, it could be in relationship. It could be with your marriage, like, reaching out and saying, hey, I want to do a course or class. I want to, go through a program that's going to help with that. There's all kinds of stuff that I think that's the ticket. I mean, like iron sharpens iron, but most people are living a dull life because they don't want to put themselves in iron situations. Yeah. And I just think it's an important thing, man. I don't know. I think that's probably one of the biggest things or cheat codes, if you will. Yeah. Or hacks would be simply that. And 100%. Nowadays it's so much easier to get access to it. Well, dude, I know for me, like if I didn't have the right people encouraging me to start the church, 5 years ago now, which we're coming up on 4 years anniversary of the church, but like a full year probably prior prepping, like, dude, we probably just now start to think about doing it now. Like, all right, I'm going to be 37 pretty soon. Like that may be more appropriate, like approaching 40, age. But like, dude, what would we have missed the last 5 years? Good, like, dude, if we didn't have the right voices saying, hey, it doesn't need to be, as long as you got clarity, it doesn't need to be perfect. Like, but if you got clarity of vision, begin to move forward, begin to put feet to the path that you want to walk, and just keep it simple, right? Like, in the simplicity and in the clarity of vision is what allows you to move forward, as opposed to overthinking something and then all the opportunity that we missed. Like, dude, probably, and we were just talking about how the ecosystem's all coming together. Like, really, this whole year with the whole Leveled Up Life, the church, just a lot of different parts working together. But there would have been so much blessings missed out on. So how many baptisms? So many healings, so many baptisms, so many salvations, so many marriages. Dude, thousands? It's insane. At least at this point. Yeah, we got another one coming up pretty soon. Like, there's 150 people get baptized every 3 months for the last 4 years. Like, it's insane. But it just goes to show you, when you get the right people speaking in your business, in your life, in your family, in your faith, like it will speed up the process. You'll find joy. Like, you don't got to wait 35 years to have a simple, joyful life that you think you're going to get in retirement. Like, you can get it right now. Like, when you got the right people speaking into your life. So, I love it, dude. Well, last point is coachability turns motivation into internal transformation. And man, this is powerful, dude, because it's like, you come off of an event and you're inspired. I always would say it's like external motivation. Yeah. Like, you've already maybe made some internal decisions
to go out there and execute, do something different. And we've seen a lot of people that have actually done that. But what's like the differentiator between the ones that have and the ones that have not done it? Because the truth is, you leave an event like that, and there's a lot of practical handles. Like, there's a lot of things that were practically able to be taken away and applied into someone's life. Well, if you don't go out there and do, then you kind of now got to battle a higher level of discouragement. Because like you say, it's like to know not to do is not to know. And then you've got that guilt of like, why didn't I do that? And so the execution is everything, right? It's everything to be able to go out there and put it into practice. How is coaching for somebody watching? How does like getting around and maybe even like somebody that also went to the event, and you can say, well, Paul, what if I didn't go to the event? This could be applicable in all different areas. You could also tie this into all different areas of your life, whether that's your fitness, all those other kind of things. But what's something somebody could do to like help increase the odds that it's just not inspiration, but it's transformation, because they get around somebody that creates an accountability to actually do it?
Yeah. Well, I think the number one discipline that you have to have is just the discipline of being consistent. Right, I saw like a video the other day. I forgot what it was talking about, but it was showing like two different runners, and one runner was super slow, but it was just steady, and then one runner like took off in the very beginning, and it was like an illustrated graphic, but then it let it play out like over a whole entire race. And the dude that had motivation, like every time the crowd showed up and was like cheering, like the dude sped up, and then it kind of died off, and the consistent one ended up winning the race, and he didn't speed up, he didn't slow down, but he was just consistent. And so I think the heart's desire is to be consistent in anything, but the truth is we can't be consistent if we don't have accountability. Like if you don't have someone going, all right, hey, what'd you learn from the event? What are the takeaways? What's the application? How are you applying that? What does it look like now? What's changed since then? Like if you don't have a coach or a mentor or a team or a boss or whatever it is holding you accountable, it kind of all falls apart. The truth is, like, we should be holding ourselves accountable. Like, it starts there, I think. But it's hard sometimes, right? It's like my mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes. Like, I don't want to. I'm gonna start do that. That's my go-to.
As a.
Do we got the auto tune?
We'll wrap up with this song.
Well, dude, even like with the gym or like eating healthy or the waking up and reading and journaling, just all the different areas. It's like, what have you actually taken and applied to your life? And if you don't have anyone, if you know yourself by now and you know you're not going to be accountable to yourself or to those closer to you, and you need an outside voice to hold you accountable, like that might be the right thing to do. Like, you got to invite accountability. I know that's been the best thing for me in my personal life, is to invite accountability in every area and to be fully exposed. And that accountability gives me freedom, because now I know, like, there's some guardrails, there's some structure here. And I just think a lot of people are missing that. So they get really excited and they take off, and it's like, boom, here we go, baby. And they start something, and like I said, we've seen a whole lot of people start a lot of good things, but the reason they don't sustain them is not because they got a bad intention or don't want to. It's because they don't necessarily have the systems in place to sustain the dream or the vision that they had. And so I think you got to have not only accountability, but systems, structure, discipline. Like, I mean, there's a lot to it. But
absolutely, bro. I mean, so good. And I think that it's like almost like that little voice of correction that you kind of want to have, because like if you don't know that you're getting slightly off track, the worst thing is you become aware when it's kind of so far down. It's kind of like if you're flying from here to Florida, you want somebody in your ear as you're making that flight that says, hey, bro, you're 2 degrees off. And it's a big deal, because if you keep going that direction, you're not going to end up in Florida, you're going to end up in New York, right? But they can say, just make that small adjustment, because a lot of times it's just a small adjustment that we need to continue to move forward. But I would just encourage everybody to like make sure that you're in that state of coachability, right? Where you're primed for the mentor or the coach to show up. What is that whole saying about, like, when the student's ready, the coach appears, or something like that?
Mr. Miyagi.
But dude, the truth is, like,
good coaches aren't like, hey, does anyone need coaching? I have so much free time. That's not the case.
The student, the right student shows up at the right time. And the coach is full. They've got a full pantry to say, hey, let me feed you, because I've been waiting for you to show up. And the truth is, that's the most rewarding for the coach, and it's the biggest blessing for the student, is that kind of situation. And so a couple quick calls to action as we wrap up. One thing that you want to ask yourself is, who do you need to be more coachable with this week? So who do you need to be more coachable with this week? Second thing is, what system or guidance have you been resisting? So what system or guidance have you been putting off, finding an excuse, blaming, complaining, whatever that might be, that's kept you from it? The third thing is, choose to be a student again. and watch your life level
Let's go.
up. And so that's the ticket. Hey, you want to talk real quick about the thought and the vision of the next leadership event, the workshop situation?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is something that we're still praying through and walking through, but I think that the next event, whether that's, towards the end of this year or whenever it is, we want to have some breakout sessions. We want to not only give you amazing leadership principles and guidance and values and lessons that we've learned along the way, but we also want to really pour into your specific questions, your specific needs, your specific businesses, topics, ideas that you're going through, and see if we can do breakout sessions and maybe do some, maybe not one-on-one coaching, but maybe a group coaching setting like that. And so it will still be a full day event, but we'll have some breakout sessions where we can get more personal into your actual businesses or families or whatever kind of places or spaces that they're leading. And so I think that'd be a good
it plays
to it.
Great with this. It's
100%.
like it'll be an environment where there's true, coaching taking place. So you can step in and maybe choose. And we don't have them all ironed out yet, but let's just say there's one on like how to launch and scale a business, right? And your desire is like, man, I want to launch a scale business, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what it looks like. I want to ask some feedback. Well, you could plug into that workshop. Maybe there's 3 or 4 you get to choose from, and you get an hour of a small group of people where you can get that specific feedback and maybe even go through and unpack what a launch would look like for you. And that could be with your family. We'll hit all different aspects.
Or if you bring your teams there, I know I've been to a lot of different events, and I'll bring my team with me and be like, hey, go to the breakout for the creatives, go to the breakout for the pastors, go to the breakout for the admins or whatever it is. So you bring your team there and you allow the environment to train up the team, and then you all leave better. So that's our heart. That's what we're planning and praying for. So it's gonna be good. Dude. It's gonna level up.
I'm already excited about it. So hey, we'll get the date out soon. I'm thinking the next couple of days you'll see that out on social media. And the reality is this: God's house, location that we've been blessed to be able to have it. Thank you for allowing us to come in and use that together. It's been a blessing, and no doubt that it was a blessing as everybody entered those doors this past week. But it's only a certain size. Like we can't add, make it bigger to fit 1,000 people. And so it's going to be limited seats. We were sold out the first one, and we're going to do the seating schematics differently to fit more, but it'll sell out pretty quick. And so as you see that, just make sure you don't procrastinate on that. You take action right away, because if you wait, it might be too late to actually get in.
Come on.
Because we don't want you there, but because the room is what the room is. So appreciate you guys. Thank you again, brother, for this, man. It's been great. Guys, hey, we love you. Make it a big week. Be strong, stay steadfast, and we'll talk to you next week. God bless you guys.